All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about one of the most important things in design, something that's everywhere, but not always easy to pin down: style. You ever watch a movie or play a game and notice how all the characters just fit? Like they were all born in the same universe, even if one's a giant robot and the other's a tiny mouse? Well, guess what? That's not a happy accident. That's design, and it's totally on purpose.
Okay, take a look at these two guys. On the left, you've got this simple, kind of flat graphic character. He feels fun, right? Like he's straight out of a Saturday morning cartoon. But on the right, it's the same guy, but now he's got all this realistic lighting and shading. He looks like he belongs in a big-budget 3D movie. They're both great, but they live in totally different worlds. And that difference, that's style.
So what is the secret sauce? How do artists take a basic idea and turn it into a distinct and deliberate design? Let's break it down. When you boil it all down, style is just a consistent set of rules. Think of it like a visual rule book that an artist creates. It decides everything: how sharp or round things are, how realistic the bodies are, or even if things have outlines or not. Really, the best way to think about it is that style is just a version of reality. It's an artist deciding how they want to interpret the world, what to exaggerate and what to leave out. Let's make this super simple. Think about an apple. You could draw it with perfect photorealistic detail right down to the little reflections and blemishes. That's one style choice. Or you could strip it way down, simplify it into its most basic shapes with a strong outline and some flat color. It's totally different, but you know what? It's still 100% an apple. Or you could go in a totally different direction. Forget lines completely. Just use soft gradients of light and shadow to carve out the shape. See? All three are apples, but each one has its own vibe, its own feeling, its own style. Now this is maybe the single most important part of the whole thing. Once you've picked your rules, whether it's bold lines or no lines, simple shapes or complex ones, you have to stick with them. Consistency is absolutely king. Let's go back to our two Scottish guys. The graphic one on the left, he works because everything about him is simple and graphic. His hands, his face, his kilt, it all follows the same rules. Same for the realistic guy. He's consistent, and that's why he feels believable in his world. And this is what happens when you throw those rules out the window. Wow, a simple, cartoony body with a super realistic head? It's just wrong. It feels broken, it's jarring to look at, and that's because the consistency is gone. It's a perfect example of bad design.
Okay, so if style is a set of rules, where do those rules even come from? Well, artists don't just pull them out of thin air. The rules are born from something we call context. It's the why behind every choice.
And there are basically 4 pillars to this context. First is the medium. Are you making a 2D animation, a 3D game, or maybe a comic book? Second, your audience. Who is this for? Little kids or adults? Third is the tone. Is it a silly comedy or a serious drama? And finally, the story. What's the world like that this character has to live in? And just look how changing only one of those pillars changes everything. If you're designing for preschoolers, you're going to lean into soft, round shapes and bright, happy colors. But if you're making something for an older audience, you can suddenly use sharper angles, more complex details, and a darker color palette. See, the context tells you what to do. All right, enough theory. Let's get our hands dirty and see how this all works in the real world. We're going to take a classic, iconic character and design him for 2 completely different projects. And our guinea pig is going to be Frankenstein's monster. Everyone knows what he generally looks like, which is perfect because it lets us focus purely on the style choices.
So here's the challenge. For Style A, we're making a 2D animated comedy for kids. We want it to be goofy and fun. For Style B, he's the star of a big-time 3D animated action drama. This one needs to be more emotional, more serious, more intense.
So for the 2D comedy, our style guide has to serve that goal. We'll go with high stylization, meaning we can pretty much ignore perfect anatomy. Let's give him a strong, graphic silhouette so he's easy to read. We'll mix some sharp angles with floppy curves to make him look kind of clumsy and goofy. The proportions? Let's exaggerate them. A big head, tiny feet, that's comedy gold. And of course, we use bold outlines and flat colors, because that's not only bright and appealing for kids, but it's also way more efficient to animate for a TV show.
But for the 3D drama, we flip the script. We need the audience to feel for this guy, so we're aiming for medium stylization, somewhere between pure realism and a cartoon. We'll use big, powerful shapes to show his strength, but maybe give him rounded shoulders to hint that he's also vulnerable. His proportions will be pushed to make him look imposing, but they still have to feel believable. And here's a huge difference: no outlines. In a 3D movie, his form is going to be defined by light and shadow, which will give him a real sense of weight and presence.
So here's the bottom line. Style isn't just about making something look cool. It has to be fit for purpose. Every single decision, from the shape of a character's nose to the color of their shoes, is an informed choice that helps tell the story. And all those choices, working together, that's what defines a style. So now you get it. You know the rules of the game. So think about it. If you could pick any character in the world and redesign them, what choices would you make? And what new story would your style tell?